here at IESE this week with my four good friends, Florian, Tony, Tobias and John. And we're working all through this week with 120 Executive MBA students. So this week's video is a couple of tips from them about their experience in public speaking, how to reach people, how to have impact with your words.
Oh, I forgot to mention, I got a new drone for my birthday, so you're gonna get a few drone shots from IESE Business School up on the roof.
No word was ever as effective as a record time pause. Does Angela Merkel ring a bell?
When it comes to giving constructive feedback, to be or not to be is not the question.
The most important thing is, why are you saying it?
Back to basics.
Back to base, ready to deliver some. You have to look at the lens, not the screen. This is what I keep screwing up.
Look at the lens, not the screen.
Yeah.
You're doing a video now. This is
like
a photo.
This is like a little edit.
And we get to the bottom, we cheer public speaking, then when it's over.
Oh yeah, we're done.
The most
Important
thing that you should do is look
and
speak with passion.
Here we'll pass over to Florian Mueck. And Florian is going to tell us about MISS, how to use your hands to impact the audience.
Wow, thank you, Conor. Does Angela Merkel ring a bell? Or praying? Or hand washing? Or the wedding ring twister when there's no ring anymore on that hand? We always protect our belly. We protect our belly because of evolution, because there were two parts on your body that were the dangerous parts, the throat and the belly. And that's why we protect them. When you open up your body language, you come across as more charismatic, with more self-confidence. You're much more in control. You don't have fear. You don't show it. There's 4 ways that I use to use my gestures, because in my trainings they always ask me, but what should I do with my hands? 4 ways. The MISS word, M-I-S-S. M stands for metaphorical gestures. And then when I joined this EMBA program at IESE Business School, I had to change my perspective. I had to change my perspective. That's a metaphorical gesture, replacing content by gestures. My entire life. The second one, the I, stands for illustrative gestures, and that's the easiest you can do. I played clarinet for all my youth. The ball is round. The espresso this morning in the cafeteria. You can illustrate anything with your hands. The third one, the S, symbolic gestures. Friendship and love from Toronto to Tokyo. Winston Churchill, this is okay. Don't do that in Turkey though. And the last one, signaling gestures. Conor in his classes, he loves to do that. Stop it. Yes, we will do it. We have to do this. All these are signaling gestures. And also when you count, that's a signaling gesture too. 3 things we have to have in mind. Now, signaling gestures, symbolic gestures, illustrative gestures, or metaphorical gestures, they all have one thing in common. They add meaning to your verbal communication, while Angela Merkel adds no meaning at all. Next time you speak in public, open up your body language. Don't hide and use MISS, metaphorical, illustrative, symbolic, and signaling gestures, and you will come across so much stronger on the delivery side.
Excellent, Florian. So
Thank
that's
you.
how to use the hands while you are speaking. On stage, we have John Zimmer, all the way in from Switzerland, come to share with you genius tips.
Or at least tips. Thank you, Conor.
If you want to be a good speaker in public, one of the most important skills that you can master, perhaps paradoxically, is knowing when not to say anything. The power of the pause. Getting good at pausing is something that every speaker has to do. Pauses are hugely important. Many times, in fact, most times, we see speakers come up on stage, they're excited, they're a little bit nervous, the adrenaline's going, and they start talking, and they're talking, and they're talking about an idea, and this idea is going along, and they're racing along, and then they move into the next idea, and then the next, and the next. And there's no space in between these ideas, and it gets very hard for the audience to follow. I'm going to give you 4 times when a pause can be a very valuable thing to do. First, just before you're going to say something very important. For example, you're talking about a new initiative that you want the company to follow. And you say something like, today, I want to give you 3 reasons why we need to open an office in Singapore. You've primed the audience then. They know what's coming. Second way to use the pause is to pause after you've said something important. And this is why we need to act now. That pause adds emphasis to your words. Third time to use a pause is when you're transitioning from one idea to another. You've just finished talking about idea number 1. Now let's move on to number 2. That pause gives people a bit of time just to think through their mind everything that idea number 1 was about, and now we're ready to go on to number 2. But the fourth way, and in fact the main way to pause, is between key points in your talk to allow the audience to really think about what you've said. Never forget that you and I and all of us suffer from something called the curse of knowledge. When we speak about a subject that we know so well, we might have spoken about it 10 times, we might have studied this for years, we know it so well that we forget. We forget what it was like when we knew nothing about it. And so things that are obvious to us are not necessarily going to be obvious to your audience. So the pause, as you're going along in your talk, it allows the audience to think about what you've said, to internalize it, and to understand it. Always remember what Mark Twain said. He said, the right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause.
So that's,
He's back. He's back.
that's how to do it. Pause, silence. As Mark Twain said,
The right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause.
excellent. Tobias Rodrigues, the audience needs you. What do you have to share? Wisdom, words.
Shakespeare was wrong. When it comes to giving constructive feedback, to be or not to be is not the question. Instead of using the verb to be, use verbs of doing, actions. Though for the speaker, it might be easier to use the verb to be. You could be more self-confident, you could be more organized, you could be more collaborative. For the listener, the verb to be is not that easy. First of all, it could lend itself to confusion. For you to be more collaborative could mean one thing, and for me it means another. So you're giving feedback and the person might not really know what you're meaning. But most importantly, when you ask someone to change who they are, if I ask you to be something else, that's a lot more to ask from you than if I ask you to change some of the things that you do. It's much easier to change our actions than to change who we are. So I could say, you could consider more the needs of your team along with your own. So the next time you're giving constructive feedback, forget Shakespeare and go with verbs of doing.
Do it. Just do it, as Nike says. Something special for you today. Tony Anagor, a genius. A man who can breathe and exude presence into any room.
Well, I'm very lucky to work with corporate companies all over the world who have a real understanding that corporate communication forms a bedrock of the success of their companies. On this course, we teach you some of those fundamentals. Concept into words, into action. The art of communication is to create the concept. Once we have the concept, we turn that concept into words. Once we have those words are then transformed into an action. And typically, the action will be played out by people, members of our team, or other members, not by ourselves. So we have to make sure we get this process right. And a lot of confusion normally arises when we don't have a very clear action point. In other words, Conor likes to call it a point X. What is our point X? When we have finished speaking, what is it that we want our audience will do? And we give you some clear concepts and some clear tools to create a very good point X. One of the key things that we ask you to do is think about your audience. Think about the resources you have at your disposal. PowerPoint, music, table, chairs, pens, anything that you have that can help to enhance your point X. Start with the end in mind. What is it that you want your audience to do? It's not so important what you say or how you say it. The most important thing is, why are you saying it? Why are the audience there? And what is it that you want them to do? So we're coming to the end of our week-long intensive EMBA communication skills course. And today is the day that the magic really happens, where we see all of those tools put into place. Because we know that the quality of your communication has a direct effect on the quality of your life.
Again, IESE Business School, been a great week with the Executive MBA intensive week. Been great to bring John, Florian, Tony and Tobias onto the show and bring them into the videos.